everyone, my name is Victoria, or you can call me Tori. It's been a while since I filmed a video, but I figured that it would be a very beneficial video for me to make because back whenever I was trying to go to esthetician school, I'd been trying to go to esthetician school for as long as I can remember, probably 4 or 5 years, and it just wasn't working out for me until this year, and I decided to go to Paul Mitchell. And so I wanted to talk about my experience and just kind of explain, I guess, pros and cons, and just give you my perspective on it, because esthetician school is something that you'll find that a lot of them are not great, and it's just kind of it's a sticky situation. So I'm gonna get into that more in this video, but I just kind of wanted to talk about my experience and just what I guess my take on esthetician school was. So let's jump into the video. I have been a professional makeup artist for about 3-ish years now. I started my business a few years ago, and whenever I first started it, it wasn't a huge deal about being licensed or anything in the state that I was in. You could, pretty much, if you really researched and you put your all into it, you could be a makeup artist. And it was great, and I truly fell in love with it, and I knew that that was my calling. So then I was like, okay, but I really want to get more serious about it. So I was like researching esthetician school, and I had everything lined up, and then it just fell through, and it kept like feeling like that just kept happening constantly. So then finally in 2021, well, actually, was it 2021? So 2021, I started whenever I moved up here to Colorado. I started researching more and seeing, okay, since it didn't work out in this other state, is it going to work out here? And after a bit of a big hassle, it eventually worked out, and I was supposed to go at the end of 2021, I think, and then something happened and I wasn't able to start until January. But it was funny because then the night before I'm supposed to start on January 10th, they're like, hey, guess what? COVID's a thing. So for the whole week, they shut it down. You're not actually starting until my birthday, which was the 17th. And I was like, oh, fantastic. Perfect start to the new year. So it was kind of a big challenge, kind of figuring out what school I wanted to go to, because at the point that I was at in my life, in terms of I already kind of had my business established, yeah, there was a lot of things that I could, learn and do with, going to esthetician school, but the main thing was I just wanted to get my license just because I felt like people would take me way more seriously, even though I knew what I was doing, but it also would give me some education, and just it would also provide me with more services, because once I started to actually go to school and I realized how relaxing facials were and everything, I fell in love with it. And so now, later on, whenever I kind of figured I'm kind of in a weird spot right now, but once I kind of get more established and everything, I'm going to start expanding and doing more of those services. But right now I'm kind of just sticking to my makeup business because of how busy it's been busy season, and so I've really just been trying to keep my stress level down and just focus on one thing. And then once I get more into, because it is so pricey when you're trying to figure out what skincare line you want to carry, what do you want to sell, what do you want to use, what do you actually know. So then when you're actually doing a facial, someone asks you a question while you're doing a facial, it's not just like, oh, well, I just love this product because it's affordable, or something. Like, I want to actually give someone the knowledge and information, not just, okay, I'm using this product because it's great. I want to actually help them understand and everything. So that's why I'm kind of holding back, and I'm really doing my research and learning more before I provide those other services. But right now I've been doing a lot of makeup services, and I've also been doing a lot of lash extensions. Lash extensions, I feel like they take a lot of patience, but once you get really good at them, they're such a great service to provide, and they're not, it's just basic knowledge for the most part, just make sure that the person doesn't have a crazy reaction and things like that. I feel as it's not as in-depth as, a facial about someone's certain skin type and how are you going to treat this and target this, X, Y, and Z. So anyways, back to the school. So I wasn't really picking Paul Mitchell because of the name or anything, because I have heard some bad things about it. But really the main reason why I chose a school was, unfortunately, it was the most expensive in my area, and I don't honestly recommend it. But for me, it was all about the commute, because since I live in Colorado, I have to go through the mountains and everything to get down to the school. So I had to think about location and the fact that it was going to be snowing traveling a lot during that time period, and I needed something that was more close to my house versus going all the way across town, you know, in the snow and the craziness, iciness. It's just not for me. So that's really honestly the main reason why I chose a school. And it's one of those situations where I feel like, yes, I should have went with another school. It's just my safety, and I just hate traffic and driving, and it's terrifying. So, I mean, I sucked it up, I endured, I survived, but overall, the school is just not, it's a big name, but it's not the program. I feel like the aesthetics program, at least where I went in Colorado, it wasn't, I didn't learn anything, honestly, and that is a big con too. I honestly thought whenever I was gonna walk into esthetician school, no, I'm not gonna just learn everything and not have to teach myself anything, but I thought it was gonna be way more structure. We had absolutely no structure, and that really, I don't like that because I have ADHD, so I was all over the place. I was like, one day I'd be trying to teach myself how to do a facial, and then all these ingredients, to learning about all these skin reactions, and I'm doing that in the span of like 4 hours, and I'm like, I'm not actually retaining any of this information. So I feel like the education there is not good. They literally just hand you a book you pay so much money for, and they just kind of say fend for yourself. And so that's why, unfortunately, I feel like the reason why you're going to esthetician school is to get education and to learn, you know, because you're getting a license, and you're supposed to be, you know, the reason why you have to have a license to do these certain services is because you're supposed to be educated. But the problem is the education just wasn't there. So that was unfortunately a huge, like, major thing about the school, that I just felt like they were taking our money, and that's basically it. Like, in terms of the practical test that you have to take in order to get your esthetician license, you have to take a practical and then a written. And the practical is where you're actually demonstrating on a mannequin, you know, the different steps, and you have to do them in order and all X, Y, and Z, and they want you to be sanitary. I feel like that's the one thing that I did learn from the school. I passed both my tests on the first try, but I feel like that's probably the best thing that I learned from the school per se. Is we did do that every Wednesday, and I felt really confident going into my practical with the education that I learned from that. But that's really all I felt like they prepped me for, really, was, okay, you go take your practical, you're good to go. As far as the written, we didn't really get a lot of practice, and that really was what scared me, was because I am not a good test taker, and so I was terrified for this test because I'm seeing all these posts and everyone's saying how they failed, and so I'm freaking out. But thankfully I passed. But I just didn't feel like the education in terms of feeling confident to go into this test, it just wasn't there. You know, you think, okay, you're going to school in order to, you know, learn, and like I said before, you know, you're getting your license, so you want to learn, and it just wasn't there. The other issue I feel like, and I'm mainly just talking about my school in particular in Colorado, but at the Paul Mitchell that I went to, the instructor turnover rate was terrible. I felt like we always were having a new instructor, and they were very knowledgeable, and I did love all my instructors that I had, but it just didn't feel right. You know, why am I going through all these, you know, different teachers? I just get to know this one and then they leave. I feel like the head faculty people, I feel like they weren't treating their teachers and everything with good intentions and respect. I don't really know how to describe it, but I feel like whenever they would voice their concern, they kind of were just like, okay, cool, you know, okay, whatever, I hope you're good. And then on top of that, there were so many issues I had. I got my gas siphoned. That's like a big red flag. And I understand that that's more of just the location side of where the school was, but it was constant reports that they were getting. Like, I told them I got my gas siphoned. That's kind of a big deal, you know? And the fact that the parking lot was across the street, I hated it. There's no crosswalk. I'm over here, I'm a rule follower, so I'm like, okay, this is terrifying, but there was no logical way to go down to the light and then cross over, and then, you know, you might get jumped at that point because of the side of town that it was on. But in terms of like what I'm getting at with that is safety, that school did not care. And it really breaks my heart to say that, because you would think that the school would really take into consideration the care and the safety of the students. But it was like the teachers, they cared about it, but it was like the staff and the owners of the school, they were just like, oh cool, someone got hit by a car, well, okay, that's okay. We were not gonna pay for the hospital bill, but it's cool that someone got hit by a car, like literally. There was break-ins, there was crazy homeless people like running around that area. They were threatening our students and everything. It was crazy. So it's just, the safety was absolutely not there, and that's why another reason, a major reason why I don't like the school at all, is because I felt like my life was in danger a couple times, and they just kind of were like, oh, well, that's cool. That's a great story to tell, you know? I feel like every time I would bring up an issue or anyone spoke up about anything at that school, it was like a bad thing to do. And I'm someone who, I will voice my opinion when necessary. I've learned to be more of a direct, not just stay in the shadows when I don't agree with something. I've been more of a confronting person, and it unfortunately was very scary and hard to do because I got to the point where I knew that they didn't care, and that really hurt me. And there was one time I remember that my one of my classmates that was sitting, like we all sat at this little table, and she literally told the lady, you literally made her cry. Like I didn't know this because I had already left, and it wasn't even an oh pitiful, oh you made me cry. No, it was like, I was so done with the school at that point. I was like ready to transfer. I went to talk to financial aid about the situation. I was like, I want to get out of here. But I realized by the time that they would have transferred me all that stuff and get my papers and the refund and whatever that scenario was, I was basically like, just finish, just tough it out. And it was a really hard decision that I had to make, but I was just so overwhelmed with that school at that point of whatever the situation that happened, that I had to leave that day. I had to go out with my friend, and I felt so much better after that. But I was just, at that point, I was like, I'm getting out of this. I should not be treated this way. It was just awful. And then my classmate, she was just trying to be funny. I mean, she really did tell the person this, but I find out the next day and I'm like, you no way said that, because I would have never said that. But I mean, it was just kind of funny because it was kind of true. Like, she didn't necessarily make me cry, like she wasn't trying to. It was just the way that the school was ran. And then not to mention the sanitation, not even in existence. Oh, and then to top it off, so we had to, like I said, we had to park across the street. Well, it was hilarious because then people started getting tickets, and guess what? The school didn't care. Oh man, this school gives me a headache. Park across the street, and the school pretty much rented that parking lot, so it wasn't technically there. But they told us in orientation that they were paying a pretty penny for the parking spaces over there. And we had a little, oh, it was so fancy, we had this little slip of paper that said parking pass for Paul Mitchell, and they were giving people tickets who had it displayed because they weren't paying for enough parking spots. How sketchy is that when my tuition was $10,000, like something like that? The cosmetology students is like $20,000, and there's a decent amount of students. So if you just do the math real quick, just by like 5 people, you would think that they could, afford to pay for enough parking spots, considering that's included in your contract and tuition that you're getting a parking spot. But people that were following the rules were getting parking tickets. It was insane to me. Like, we would always have to walk across the street to go check our car to make sure the little bicycle cop guy, whoever he was, wasn't getting a ticket. Because it was ridiculous. And like, we would try to explain it to him. He's like, oh, I don't care. Like, I have to give the tickets. And I'm like, excuse me. Okay. Oh, It was insane because I was hearing like rumors of them tearing the ticket up, and it was just, this is the tea right now. Like, this is the tea of Paul Mitchell. To conclude, because I want to end this video on a positive note and not me just basically saying that the school is a headache, besides the fact that it is, because the thing that really irritated me was the fact that they make this school look like it's this fancy, like you're paying $10,000 for this fancy, gorgeous building and like immaculate products, and just your experience and structure, it's gonna be fantastic. That was a lie, and it sucks because they mask it up until you actually start school. So they'll promise you all these things, they'll make it, the tour people and everything, they're super sweet people. The people that are my school, they're super sweet, but the problem is they mask it. They make it seem like this grand, gorgeous school, and it's not. At least this is my experience, so take this with a grain of salt. If you have had a great experience, I'm so happy for you. I wish I had that. But that was really unfortunate because, you know, going into orientation, everything, it was like, yes, this is amazing. And then we go to start school, and the first day they're like giving us our kit, and I'm like, I paid 10 grand for this thing. Not that, you know, it's in your, I think the kit was like 2,000. I'm not joking. I'm a makeup artist. It doesn't even matter if I was a makeup artist or not. The makeup that they gave us was literally like under the dollar store. Like the dollar store has better quality makeup than what they gave us. Like literally when I got it, I literally threw it in the trash. I was like, I'm not using this. I wouldn't even use it on myself. I'm not going to use it on someone else. So that was really like annoying, that the fact that you're paying for this kit and it's trash. Like absolutely trash. Like I literally didn't even use like anything in my kit except like my extractors and tweezers, and that's pretty much all I touched. And then maybe my lash kit. That was pretty much all that I touched in that kit that I paid like 2 grand for. Like you would think logically, a massage table, a decent one is probably $200. You think that, okay, if you're paying for this kit that, you know, you're gonna use and it's supposed to help with your esthetician, you know, career, you would think, hey, a massage table would make perfect sense to give to someone in their kit. Like oh, this gets me so worked up because it just didn't add up to me. I'm like, why are you making us pay for all these horrible products that are so cheap? Because you're ending up getting more money out of it because you're spending not much on these products. They're terrible. Oh, and then the other thing in their kit was we got little trial, like you would think also too, like you would get, you know, skincare and stuff because you're an esthetician. So you think you would get a decent, like it was in our kit listed as trial size, literally. Trial size of these products, no joke. Like you would think, okay, full-size products, really in the grand scheme of things, if I'm paying for it, give me full-size products because I'm trying to start my career. I might not use it because I might end up not liking the product, but it's just logically, like I want to make my own school because of all the stuff that I experienced. I just want to make a good experience for people and actually invest in them and truly care about them, not just, we're just here to make money and, you know, like this is a huge thing for people, but we just want to, you know, make money. That's pretty much all I felt like at that school was I'm just a dollar sign to them. That's all that I felt like I was to them. So that's another unfortunate thing because that's not how it should be. So as I was saying, on a positive note, I feel like honestly the best thing that I got out of that school was I can say that my first instructor that I had for a little bit, I loved her. She was a doll, so sweet. I learned a lot from her. Second instructor, I loved her. She was pretty much there throughout pretty much my whole experience beside the first few like months and stuff. So I was fixing to graduate and stuff when she came in, sort of. And she's so knowledgeable. She's a great person. She just, I don't know, I loved her. I loved her personality and I loved being around her and everything. So instructors, even though they did come in and out and everything, I really did love them and they really were knowledgeable. I just don't feel like the school treated them right, and that was the problem. But overall, they treated the students great and I love them. A+ to the instructors. Definitely give them an applause. The last positive thing that I would say, like literally I only have 2 positives out of that place, was the fact that the friends that I made, oh, I loved my table. So it's funny because so esthetician school is funny. Usually you'll have a good mix of, you know, ages and everything. So we had some, you know, older gals who were, you know, like 30 and up. And then we had, you know, the fresh out of high school, college kind of. I mean, I don't know. It was hard because I was 20, yeah, I was 22. So I wasn't per se fresh out of high school, but everyone thought I was. Everyone was like, oh, you're 16. It was just funny because I'm like over here like, haha, no, I'm 22. I'm married. I'm older than a high schooler. So that was really funny. Cause I would get that all the time. Someone would come up to me and be like, oh, you're 18. I'm like, no, I'm 22, but it's okay. But honestly, it didn't matter. And I feel like I've always in my life have been with the older crowd per se. So it was nice because the table that I was at, I think, yeah, they were all like 5 or so years older than me. So, you know, it was just nice because I fit in more with older people. I am not really a younger gal because I'm not really the party or college girl type person. So it just, I don't know, I felt like the table that I was at, I really loved the friendships that I made there. And I feel like overall the people there, I didn't really feel that, even though it wasn't in my circle per se at my table, and that's what I was worried about, but honestly the people that I started with, they were all super sweet and they weren't, you know, mean or anything. And I feel like overall the school in general, there weren't really any mean people, and that's what I appreciated because I was kind of nervous, you know, that I was gonna have to deal with some, you know, snotty females. But honestly there wasn't wasn't any, and that's a huge pro, because I think that's what made my experience, because I honestly would not have got through school without the girls that were at my table. They were so sweet, they were always uplifting, and they always encouraged me, and you know, we would always make jokes about everything, and just we had a good time, and we studied a lot together and everything. So overall, I did have a really good experience with the people that I was around, and you know, we still talk to this day and everything. So it makes you happy, you know, when you actually get a benefit in terms of you actually make friends and everything, and you feel included and happy and everything. So that was really nice, because before I went back to school, I mean, I was pretty kind of in my shell. Like the only time I would really get out was maybe occasionally with my friend, but for the most part it was just my clients, and so I didn't really have a lot of social interaction. So when I went back to school, it was nice because I had that social interaction every day, and I got to share things and all my crazy adventures and mornings and stuff with everyone. So honestly, it was the people, the students there, that really did make my experience what it was. I wouldn't say my experience was good, but I would say that the people really made it, you know, the best, tolerable. They made me enjoy, like I would like literally just be excited to come see them. I was just really excited to see them, and we would just get to talk and catch up about everything, and we were just like so ready to get out of there. But I mean, all in all, I can say that I'm a licensed esthetician now. So I'm happy about that. I passed everything on my first try. I want to make videos, you know, talking about like what I can about, you know, how you can study for the test and things like that. And I want to make a lot more beauty related videos, but I just wanted to kind of get my heart out there about this school, because it's not a fun time, but this is just honestly my opinion. You don't have to listen to it. This is just me ranting, but I wanted to get it out there, because I don't think that this school should be making money that they are. Like I really don't. There's probably way better schools out there, and I want to save you the heartache that I went through, because I'm telling you, that was the hardest experience. Like that was harder than basic, and that's saying a lot. Like I don't know, it's not really comparable, but it's just, why am I paying something that I'm having a terrible experience and I'm getting treated horribly? Which technically, I don't know, maybe it's because when I went to basic I got paid to get treated horribly, I don't know. But yeah, that's all for this video today, but I hope that you kind of gained some knowledge and kind of helps direct you in choosing your esthetician school, or just, you know, just kind of a fun little video for you to listen to for me ranting about random stuff. I will see you guys very soon. Thank you for being patient. I know this video is probably really long, but thank you for being patient, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye.